Carl Westby. Mark Nelson.
Thank you. If you're able, would you please stand as Jim Peterson leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you for all standing that you can. If you can't, that's fine. Please raise your hand over your heart. Can you hear me? No. Okay.
Put the microphone closer.
Okay, I got it here now. Let us begin with the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, I now call the 48th annual meeting of the 7500 Cooperative into session. The first thing we need to do is determine whether or not we have a quorum, which is why balloting is such an important process. So I'm going to call on Secretary Don Hutchison. Don, do we have a quorum for the meeting?
Yes, over 30% of the membership has submitted ballots. We have a quorum. I declare that we have a quorum necessary for the transaction of business at this meeting.
You received information all throughout the month of April and May. Notices of this meeting were mailed or distributed to all members on or before April 14, 2026, in accordance with the bylaws and procedures for the 2026 annual meeting. The appropriate certification will be filled out and included with the minutes of this meeting. On the bulletin boards for the last few weeks has been a notice of the docket committee. That is the committee who puts together the organization of the meeting. If there were anyone interested in speaking, other than the normal procedures and the normal reports that were given, no requests were submitted for inclusion on the agenda at this time. And so I just wanted to report that as a piece of information for the docket committee. So we need to adopt the agenda that was printed in the package you got last week in your box. So, Mr. Secretary, I have a report on the agenda of the meeting.
Mr. President, as Secretary, I present the agenda as it is available to all members according to the procedures for the 2026 annual meeting.
Thank you, Don. I accept the agenda for the annual meeting. In the packet of materials you received, the minutes of last year's meeting, which were looked at right away by the board of directors, are available to you. They were available for people to act on. Don, I'm taking your snuff here, your stuff. The minutes of the annual meeting. That's something you're supposed to report on here.
Happy to do that. The minutes of the last annual meeting on May 5, 2025 are available to the membership in accordance with the procedures adopted for the 2026 annual meeting.
We received no comments or corrections back from anyone. And following that, is there a motion to accept the minutes as printed in the packet for the meeting? Motion? There's a motion, is there a second? Second. There's a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Now, at the end of this meeting, we'll get the minutes together, the board will look at it in one of the next meetings, and we'll go through them, make sure they're corrected, and have them for you in the packet for next year. So we're fortunate today to have two representatives of our colleagues of our management company who are here today. Don Muntz and Jeff Polidori. And who's coming? Don, are you coming? Don comes to our meetings, gives us good information, guides us and gives us great ideas, and so we're glad to have both of you here today. Don, you come and bring it. Let me get you the right microphone here. Speak right into the mic.
Thank you, Rich. I'm going to try to keep this to about a half an hour today, but no, I'm actually going to summarize because I believe my report was in the packet. First and foremost, I think it's most important that we show some appreciation for this board and especially Rich for his leadership over this last year. If you join me. As we look back, it is evident that your community is a strong leader in your cooperative world. And leading the way is everything that you do here, your project planning and execution, committee structures, your creativeness in events and activities. And you have been a cornerstone in the cooperative community. I'd also like to express appreciation for the people that support your work here. And your staff is a fantastic representation of what it means to work in a cooperative housing community. And we appreciate all of the staff here so greatly. Let's give them applause. In the report, there are some lists of some benefits that come with being an Ebenezer managed community, and that you can read about those at any time. But most of all, I just want to leave you with the note that we appreciate this treasured relationship between Ebenezer and Simply 500 York, and we look forward to celebrating the big 50 years celebration to come. And can't tell you how much it's been a pleasure to work with you all. And thank you.
Thank you, Don. Appreciate that. I'd like to introduce formally the colleagues who served with me on the board of directors this year. And so when I call your name, please stand. Hold your applause to the end, would you please? First of all, Linda Conley served as the vice president this year. So Linda, would you stand? Don Hutchison served as the secretary. David Price served as the treasurer. Other board members, Rhiannon Leith, there's Rhiannon over here. Roger Johnson, Roger here at the front. Carol Alden, Carol. Who may not be here today. Kathy Lindquist, Kathy, we've heard from you, thank you, Kathy. And Ken DeFore. So would you give a round of applause to these? As I said, one of the most important things that happens at any annual meeting is the election of board members for the coming year. So just to review, Rhiannon Leith and David Price had served 1 3-year term on the board of directors, and they were eligible again to run in the future if they desired to do so, and of course they did. Their names appeared on the ballot. And Roger Johnson served a 3-year term and then filled a vacancy here for us as well. Roger, thank you. Call beyond and beyond duty to fill in for that. So he is eligible, of course, to serve 1 more 3-year term, and he has been willing to do that, and his name appears on the ballot as well. So you saw the names of those 3 members on the good work that the nominating committee did to pull that together for the election that we're having today. And just to be clear, this is my last meeting as president of the board. I do have 1 year left to serve on the board, and I will serve and be a help to my colleagues and those of you who will be elected to other leadership positions. So I have about 1 year left, and then my 6 years will be complete. Thanks today to Mike Anderson and the housekeeping folks for setting this place up for us today. We appreciate that. I know there were other activities in here last night, and so coming early this morning and getting that set up. Thanks to Marty over here running the show for us. He's the tech guy, and David is one of our new guys working on the tech team. Not only thanks to Marty and to David, but to all the tech. Those of you who serve with the tech team, will you stand up so we can clap? And finally, to Hannah Parker, who is our board, who works with the board of directors from a staff position, is our good helper, our note taker, keeps us on track. Hannah, thank you for all the good work that you do. All right, we're going to move on now to some reports. First of all, David Price, excellent treasurer for our community, does stuff far beyond all we. David is going to report as the treasurer.
I'm gonna read my report, that's the bad news. The good news is I'm skipping the balance sheet and the statement of operations, you can read those yourself. Okay, our 2025 fiscal year ended last December. The packet you received for today's meeting contains our 2025 financial summary data comparing our fiscal years 2024 and 2025. All monthly financial reports are on the portal. This is a brief overview from 4 areas of interest to most members. Number one is our annual audit. Our bylaws require an audit of our books and records after the closing of each fiscal year. The purpose of an audit is to provide independent assurance that our financial statements present a true and fair view of our financial position. The board hired Whitley LLC to conduct this audit. Their audit report was presented to the Finance Committee and to the board last Monday. Their conclusion was the financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of 7,500 York Cooperative as of December 31st, 2025 and 2024. And the results of its operation and its cash flows for the years then ended in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the U.S. Their audit letter is included in your report packet, and their letter and audit financial statements will be available on the portal. Number two, performance against our operating budget. Per the audited financial statement for 2025, our operating revenues were 0.54% under budget. So just a hair of a percentage short of revenue projections. Our operating expenses were 1.25% over budget. The audit statement, when I know you all are going to read, right? Included a little over $300,000 in expenses for ongoing maintenance projects, but those were paid out of our reserve savings account. So I excluded them in calculating our 1.25% over budget figure on expenses. Net income, good news, was 26% over budget. And members' equity increased from almost 5.8 million at the end of 2024 to a little over 7 million at the end of 2025, primarily due to increased contributions into our reserve savings. Number three, our reserve savings, replacement reserve savings. Reserve Advisors is the company we use to help identify future anticipated costs to replace many items on our property. Having a reserve plan helps us pay for these expenses with savings instead of special assessments. Reserve Advisors works with us to define needs for the next 30 years. That's 30, and advises us how much to set aside each year to have money available for these costs. In 2025, we put $148,000 per month into our reserve savings account. That was a big increase. It was an increase of $50,000 per month over 2024 due to upcoming replacement costs. Our account is professionally managed by Corient Investment Company in fixed income and equities in accordance with our investment policy guidelines. During 2025, we took out $2,050,000 from our account to pay for projects. As of the end of 2025, our account's value was $5.8 million. I'm rounding them off. Finally, our mortgage. Refinancing our mortgage has been our method of borrowing money. And in case you didn't know it, any loan the cooperative takes out requires approval by our members. We have a 30-year mortgage held by National Cooperative Bank, which began July of 2021, and it's in effect through June 2051. Its interest rate is 3.6%, and our monthly mortgage payments are a little over $72,000. Per the terms of the mortgage, the interest rates will be renegotiated after 10 years in June of 2031. At the end of 2025, our mortgage balance was $14.6 million. That's all I got. You can read the balance sheets and operation statements for yourself.
Thank you, Dave. David works far longer and behind the scenes than most anybody knows. And the board appreciates his work and I would members do as well. Speaking on behalf of our management company, our general manager, always great to have him here and to bring his training and report to the annual meeting. So call on Mitch O'Rourke to do a report to the general manager.
Morning, everybody.
Morning.
I'm not often up here in front of all of you. And to everybody watching on York TV, good morning. I have now been the general manager here for almost 3.5 years. And it seems like it has just flown by and it's only like maybe 10 years, something like that. A lot of work going on, but it has been and is my pleasure to continue to represent Ebenezer Management Services as the lead person of the management company here at 7500 York Cooperative. You have as a part of your package the annual report from Ebenezer Management. And I ask each of my team each year to contribute to that. This is not just my input, but there are 5 departments here that are led by members of the leadership team, department heads, and they have participated in putting together this management annual report. So I encourage you to read that. Anybody who has contact with our team here knows that there are a few dozen of us here. We are very active. We are very hardworking. And I simply have to compliment my team, all of my team. They are some of the hardest working people and some of the most talented people that I know. It makes the job of leading the management team a lot easier, if I can put it that way, by having such a hardworking and talented team. Also, as a part of the documentation that you have in your annual meeting packet is the activities and financial condition report. And you can read through that if anybody has any questions about the information in that. This report is required by the cooperative bylaws, and it is important information about the cooperative. I just want to thank as well specific members of the nominating committee, as well as from our management team, for helping to put together and coordinate our end of this annual meeting. And certainly the nominating committee led by Gene Wallner, and from our staff, Hannah works with that committee and works with the board of directors in putting together all of the materials for the meeting. And I also want to thank Carol Pickering, who behind the scenes does a lot of organization towards the vote counting that will happen this afternoon. I also want to thank Nadette and Dawn for being here. They are our corporate leadership to this property, and of course Nadette to all of Ebenezer's community of managed cooperatives. I rely on them a lot. They hear from me, maybe not weekly, but regularly. Dawn, of course, is here for the board meetings every month. But I think that Ebenezer Management Services is much deeper, broader, wider than most cooperative members know. Beyond what you see on site here, and in addition to our corporate leaders, there's our accounting department, there's our human resources department, and there's a lot of training that goes on by various staff members. And you have a lot of resources that go into helping make the cooperative run on a day-to-day basis. So again, just encourage you to read the reports that are in the annual meeting packet. And thank you all for being here. And we appreciate the kind words that you extend to our management team on a daily basis. Thank you.
Thank you, Mitch. Going to make some remarks, some personal and then some hopefully insightful for the condition of the co-op. I wrote in an article 5 years ago in the New York Times about my election to the board of directors. And I talked to my kid brother, and I told him I was going to serve on the board, and the first thing he said, "What were you thinking?" He assumed, of course, that it was like a sentence to be in prison for the next 3 years. Both he and I had served on a number of volunteer boards. We've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. But we both do, and we reminded each other of the good we've been able to do in our lives, watching our parents serve, and then the two of us to do good things wherever we feel called to be wrong. We've had the joy of meeting with people from all walks of life to accomplish so many good things in benefit of the communities we've been blessed to be a part of. I was also thinking of Lin-Manuel Miranda, the guy who wrote Hamilton, you know, the shirt for Hamilton. I also thought it'd be good to be in the room where it happens, you know, to see what's going on, to help make decisions, to think about protecting my investment, my family's investment. Also, I figured if I was looking out for myself, I'd also be looking out for you folks as well, because whatever the board decides, it comes back to live with us, just be sure as you live with it as well. So thanks to all the folks along the way. make good things happen in this place. I kept this quote from a longtime resident of this community when she was asked why she was giving a gift prepared for later on to the legacy fund of the cooperative. She said, "My children and I are so grateful for the many wonderful years I've experienced in this place." I think about that comment quite a bit. And I know my fellow board members do this well. We may not always agree, and you may not always agree with us about how to get things done, but we do fully agree on why we come together to do the work of the cooperative. To do the right thing, to enhance and secure the future of this good place. In one sense, the title is loaded. What's the condition of the co-op? The first thing I wrote down was complicated, of course. My mantra is there's nothing simple in this place. I'm going to follow up with some cheers and challenges. But the state of the cooperative in one sense depends on each one of you. And the position you find yourself in this place. Some of you have been here a long time. Some of you have failing health. Some of you struggle with families and communities. Some of you worry about the budget for the next years because it's complicated to live. Some of you think about what you're doing for your family, or some of you worry that they're not sure they've got plan B when something happens to them. But they knew they came here to enhance their life and their living. So it is complicated. But let me just go through some cheers about what we do to secure and enhance our future together. We've all had the opportunity to make a reasonably priced purchase into a senior living community and to make the best as we are able in whatever place of life we are, of a new style of life, new friends, new community. And we've done that by purchasing a shared property in Edina. Still a vibrant and wealthy suburb right in the heart of the best shopping district, grocery stores, restaurants, and parks in the metro. Think Centennial Lakes. I walked around last night. It was absolutely beautiful. It looked like the United Nations and sounded just like it as well. And just think of the concerts we're going to go to this summer. You live in one of the best places in the metro of this state and district. We live in a purpose-driven community which relies on shared responsibility for governance activities and the amenities of education, security, dining, transportation, and some personal services. We cheer the relationships, old and new, and the programs that lead to health and wellness and long lives. People thrive in community. We keep hearing that all along, and you can see that happening in this community. But relationships, though key, need to be nurtured, practiced, and understood to look out, as Ken pointed out, for the neighbor, not just for myself. Every decision we make has to be thinking of 400 neighbors, not just your individual purpose. This is a good place to live out our lives and to help make the difference in the lives of fellow members. Finally, we cheer this past year as we celebrate the initiation and completion of major and minor projects and programs you can see with your own eyes and read about in the member portal and all the minutes we've done to listen to this and read his report as well. We celebrate the enhancing and securing the future of this great place. There are challenges, always have been, always will be. We're one cog in the part of a senior tsunami, that's silver tsunami and senior tsunami, that continues to head our way, and especially in the complicated world of senior housing. We're in the midst of a sector that is going to see all kinds of demand on it. And if you notice, I've been watching the Edina City Council and watching the Planning Commission. A number of communities still pop up all the way around. So trying to meet the demands of senior the tsunami, we've got to be able to participate in that and attract and do well so we are attracting for the next future customers here in this place. But we're part of helping the senior housing crisis in the United States, and that's a challenge. There will be financial and economic challenges, including borrowing costs, as David reminded us, for the cooperative, and the big challenge of increased operating fees, putting pressure on our members with fixed incomes. You know darn well that's a conversation that happens all around this place. We're gonna have to continue to face that issue because it is a big one. That's a concern. We have the challenge of the burden of governance and committee work. And we continue to face this challenge as people age, as they disengage, because maybe they've done their past work. Maybe they think somebody else should pick up the ballgame, or they're failing to understand that what it means to live here is not to rent someplace where you go off some other place, but that you participate in this community, to make it enhanced for the whole community and do our part here. That's a challenge. We have a challenge in relationships. How staff and members care for each other, talk to each other, think about each other, the demands we make on each other. It is a complicated place to live. We need to be sure that those relationships are proper, respectful, and community building. And finally, though not exhaustive, the major challenge of aging infrastructures and outdated facilities. The average age of senior properties in the United States is 24 years now. We're at 48, going on 49. Many require significant costly renovations to meet modern infrastructure, technology, and amenity standards. We've been trying and working hard all along to do that. And we're going to continue. It's going to be a constant work for the board and for the community as well. So cheers and challenges. So how do we meet the challenge before us? The other night I was watching the United City Council. I tell you, I'm terribly, I really, I'll watch the city council for fun. I don't It's crazy. It is interesting. I heard Councilwoman Carolyn Jackson of the Edina Council share this quote. She heard from an unnamed source. The city's facing the same problems we are, just bigger, of course. The aging infrastructure, fees, taxes going up like mad. We're feeling that as well. So here's what she heard this. She said, I heard this quote, nothing stays the same. We either help it get better or we watch it get worse. Nothing stays the same. We either help it get better or watch it get worse. Another quote crossed my path recently has been very helpful for me to think about the challenges ahead, from American psychologist Abraham Maslow. In any given moment, we have two options: to step forward into growth or to step back into safety. In many ways, my default has been to go back to safety. I'm that kind of guy. I suspect a lot of you are as well. You know, are we heading to growth or are we going back to safety? Thankfully, I got enough wisdom from other folks to push back against my default position and move forward on many of the challenges that face the cooperative today. Where did that wisdom come from? It came from my colleague, George Sherman, for whom I served as vice president and served on the board. And to know his background, that's why we nominated him. Roger, I worked hard for the Senior Cooperative Award last year. To come to a community, to take a hard look, to think about what needed to be done, to have wisdom to move it forward, in spite of opposition, to get some of the major things done that you're seeing having accomplished today. George, I thank you for your wisdom and your leadership and for being a mentor to me. our general manager, Mitchell Woodward, who came to us with his own wisdom and expertise to move forward in systems and culture changes that needed to be made, but for many would have been safe not to even touch them. Again, amongst pushback and opposition, he has brought this community and continues over these next years. We're going to be in this transition time as we look forward to the challenges that face us. So Mitch, I thank you for your leadership in this. I thank my colleagues on the board, not just our current board, but the boards I've served with over the last 5 years. And for many of you here who shared your wisdom, who've done this before, who brought together this community, thank you to all the folks who helped me think about where the future was going to be. Finally, I would be remiss not to thank the leadership and staff of both of our management companies, Ebenezer Management Services and Morrison Living, whom we have contracts with, who guide us and lead us in the managing the day-to-day activities of this community. And thanks to all of you for your part in fulfilling 7500 York's mission statement. The mission of 7500 York Cooperative is to provide a safe, healthy, and pleasant home for its members to enjoy an active, independent lifestyle in a senior cooperative environment. We're going to continue to strive to fulfill that mission, and it will go on with our goodwill and good work. So we are thankful for this place. Thank you very much. Now, what makes this place good? What makes this place great? Comes from all the committees and all the activities you folks do. So we're going to bring brief reports from all our standing committees, and heads up to those of you who are on the RAC subcommittees. Your work is listed in the bulletin of things for the committee. We're not asking all 20 some of you to get up. No. Just your chair will get up to speak for the RAC committee. So one of our ongoing ad hoc task forces, David is filling in for Becky Lee this morning. So David, would you come forward just to bring an update for the LAC committee?
Thank you. I'm filling in for Becky, who had a medical appointment today, and she needed to take care of that. Happy to fill in. In 2023, the board of directors established the lobby and balcony committee. It's known as LAB 23. And the reason it's 23 is that's when we started. I know that seems like a long time ago, and it is. But I'll explain something that Becky did not write, and I'll get on to her report. The purpose of the committee was to renovate elements of the lobby and balcony, and upon board approval, carrying out the project. We started with a design firm, and that design firm eventually went bankrupt. So we pretty much lost a year, maybe a year or more. And unfortunately, we didn't lose a lot of money on that because they went bankrupt before we got into the construction phase. But at any rate, they're gone, and we hired Mohegan Hansen Architecture to do the lobby and balcony work. That is the same company that did the social room and that did the lobby and balcony renovation back in 2009. So what you see today is what they did 16, 17 years ago. Anyway, with board and legal approval in the spring of 2025, the committee engaged Mohegan Hansen Architecture and Interiors to renovate and refurbish the lobby and balcony common areas. The board defined scope includes replacing all carpeting in the lobby and balcony, including the library, refurbishing or replacing lobby furniture, and reviewing balcony game table chairs, painting doors, trim, and walls, repairing damaged wallpaper and column coverage, designing and installing new cabinetry and work services in the security area, and designing and constructing a package storage and delivery area. Just as a comment, if you walk through our lovely lobby, please be careful with walkers and carts, because you can see much damage on those dark brown columns, and that's caused by people not looking where they're going. That's gonna be expensive to fix, and we're working on that. Throughout the planning, the committee has emphasized a welcoming atmosphere for guests and members, open and unobstructed spaces that support flexible gatherings and easy movement, and abundant natural light. The two major improvements, the redesigned, relocated package area and an enhanced security desk, are intended to improve efficiency, usability, and overall appearance. Carpet and wall covering selections are guided by senior-friendly safety and functionality. I'll skip the rest of that. Everybody here read this? Thank you. Construction documents and pricing are now being reviewed. After final board and legal approval, the committee will share architectural plans for the security and package areas with members, and will provide ample samples of proposed floor coverings, furniture, wall coverings, and lighting. So you will get to see something finally after all these years. Committee members selected by the board and representing the various standing committees are, well, we don't represent standing committees. Connie Blom is on the committee. Therese Eisenhower, Becky Lean is the chair. Gwen Ludwig, myself, Bev Reed, Barbara Rose, and Kathleen Spergo. And omitted here is our able secretary, George Spergo, who does an outstanding job, and we appreciate it. And also on the committee is Barbara Murphy, Director of Marketing, Mitch Ollendorf, the General Manager, Michael Ordorf, Director of Maintenance, and Vladimir Bang of Security. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Just a word for the two committee or two ad hoc groups we left out of the report this year. The board charged our colleague Roger Johnson. We really worked it this year, I'll tell you. Roger headed up the North Plaza ad hoc committee and the art ad hoc committee. Those two are now come to fruition. We're still working on the North Plaza, but the art committee just organized as well. Roger, to you and those groups for the good work, we thank you very much. All right, Robert, Finance Committee.
I'm reading what is in your handout, the package.
The Finance Committee represents you, the residents of our community, our co-op, in financial matters relevant to all operations of the co-op. Pursuant to this fiduciary responsibility, we address three major work products. The investment policy statement, preparation of the annual budget, that is really hard work, and the review of the annual audit report. Also, this year was a busy year in reviewing and affirming to the board the sufficiency of funds for projects proposed by the property committee. Some of these projects included replacement of boilers, the order of magnitude study of the facade, chilled water pipes condition and selected replacement, an elevator shift assembly replacement, and any others that have a cost of $25,000 or more. Finance Department participated in the development of the annual budget over several months' time. Every month, we review the status of our investment portfolio with the assistance of David, the status of our replacement reserve and other operating and requisite reserve accounts. That's with help from Mitch. Our charter directs finance to serve as the audit committee, which we do unofficially. As in the past, the audit is performed by Whitley, an accounting firm. This report was submitted to the finance committee and the board during our April meeting. Any actions or recommendations in the audit are noted and addressed. Members of this committee, this is a very good committee, I would say, include myself as chair, Mary Locke, Mike Mullenix, Peter Ludwig, Greg Stevenson, Vince Everett, and Marty Irving. Mitch is the staff contact. David is as the board treasurer and as liaison of the board representative. Peter Ludwig finished his 3 years of service this year. We thank him for that service. On behalf of PS, thank you, David. Thank you, Mitch. You are such an important part of our committee, and we really appreciate that participation.
Thanks, Bob. The mic to your good spouse. There's one deal on the tag team. Bev Reeves representing the chair of the marketing and membership committee.
Membership and Marketing Committee is responsible for providing a welcome to prospective members. We provide them with information, tours, and conversations about our committee. The committee members help plan and support marketing staff. 2 tours are scheduled each month to provide prospective members with the opportunity to learn about 7500 York and to see 3 units representing different floor plans. We hosted nearly 150 people on these tours in the past year and received 87 registrations. We currently have over 430 people on our wait list. The committee also planned and hosted a fall waitlist member outreach. We expanded the cooperative's digital engagement with our website and addressed operational and policy-related matters such as refurbishing standards, combined units, and fair housing compliance. The committee works closely with our staff, Barb Murphy, Director of Marketing, and Neil Park, Marketing Associate. When prospective members are ready to move into our community, the committee verifies that the applications are in order, and if so, recommends them to the board of directors for final acceptance as full members of the 7500 York Cooperative. During this past year, committee members have been Bev Reeves Chair, Carolyn Monstall, Lila Bertine, David Gable, Mary Boyd, and Margie Raggis. Leanne Leafus has served as the board liaison. A special thank you to Connie Blum, Eileen Swanson, and Caroline Monstall, who welcomed bi-monthly tour groups to view their units. Lila Bertine and I received thanks for our 3 years of service as we go off the committee. Thank you.
Next report comes from the food service. Dallas Processors Chair of that committee. And we're glad you came today. We're glad to see you, Alice.
Thank you.
We're gonna turn around and turn her over here. Yeah.
Oh, hi, Dean.
Oh, she's right.
The food service
Service Committee has a big job. But because we have the right people, the right programs, and the right tools, we have had a very successful year. The right people are led by Amanda and Chef Chris, and the wait staff who are now in full count and they're ably trained. The right programs include breakfast, as we've always had it, but lunch. People have asked for years for lunch. We now have lunch, and it's been very popular, and it's been profitable. Food on the plaza is coming. So they just have some wrinkles to iron out, and it will be there soon. And of course, we have dinner 5 nights a week. The food trucks, due to the able leadership of Daryl Bertelson, will run June through August. The reason they're not earlier or later is that interest is just not there. 25 people in the month of September for food trucks doesn't attract anyone. We also have buffets, which have been proven to be very popular. We have the right tools. Under the able guidance of Jake, we have embraced Toast. And the Toast program gives us the handheld, things to, they tap into them, the room number and the order, and goes right to the kitchen. So it's much faster delivery of the orders. Again, it's the people who make the dining room run, as well as the faithful clientele. Without you, there wouldn't be a food service. Thank you.
Chair of the property committee is George Sherrick.
Good morning, everybody. The property committee had a busy year this year. Did any of you feel during this year like you were living in a construction zone? And what you saw was only a portion of the projects going on, many of which you don't see because they're in the bowels of our building. The age of our building results in unrelenting pressure for upkeep. Unrelenting pressure on our director of property and his team and on our general manager. And so after this meeting, in the next several days, as you encounter Michael Ordorf or members of his team or Mitch, thank them for their dedication day in and day out to us as a community and to this property. Now, as we conclude this year, we saw a report that underway is the initial planning for project on the facade of the building, and also waterproofing the south entry drive and the garage. Project underway right now include the installation of new boilers, and the project that was just completed this past year is the North Plaza waterproofing of the link. After 3 years of dedicated service to the property committee, Len Addington, Rick Rockford, and Mr. Tabor, Brett Tabor, our diligent secretary, are completing their 3-year terms, and we appreciate that. Now, the property committee has 2 subcommittees, led by Betty Stacy. The landscape subcommittee's done a marvelous job at planting the flower beds and keeping them up, beautifying our environment throughout the year, and working with Michael Ordorf and taking care of the grounds as well, and then working on the renovation of the hidden garden on the west side. The other subcommittee that serves you under property is the Refuse Management Committee, co-chaired by Marty Berberg and Virgil Peterson. They continue to work on education opportunities for all of us and improving refuse management. Throughout this year, Roger Johnson provided liaison from the board of directors and did an excellent job. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Special, I know all the committees work really hard. I want to just say thank you to the property folks. They have been working over and above the call of duty. Our next chair is the chair. I don't know how she keeps everybody straight in that community, but she does a great job of organizing the resident activities. So to welcome Michelle Kowski, who's the chair of RAC.
Well, you have the written report from the RAC, from all the RAC subcommittees in the packet, so I'm just gonna give you some highlights. 15 subcommittees were active this year. The excursion was dormant. And about 60% of the households had volunteers serving on the RAC subcommittees. We sponsored a fine holiday fair in November, a successful Canada Ethnic Week in January. The board asked RAC to form a steering committee to explore how to help new members transition into community life and participate in cooperative living. This effort resulted in a new RAC subcommittee called Gateway. The subcommittees have brought you lots of entertainment and activities throughout the year. Big Screen has shown more streaming movies. Fun and Games sponsored 3 dances with live bands. The Garden Committee hosted a phenomenal garden party in August. Life Enrichment brought a wide range of presentations, from a police dog to the humor of Laura Landry. Music and Arts brought us a variety of musical entertainment. They also brought us amazing young talent through their new Rising Stars program. And let's not forget the York Singers and Readers Theater. There's nothing like being entertained by your friends. Men of York hosted monthly coffees, continued to shepherd the grill, and also sponsored some interesting Saturday morning events. Fitness, the workshop, the hobby room, their artists and crafters, the neighbor awareness did all their part to enhance community life. Fitness offered a Nordic pole walking class, and presentations on positive aging. The workshop patiently tackled projects that you brought them. The knitters, the quilters, artists, and stamp collectors gathered regularly in small groups. Many generously shared their finished products with charities and nonprofits. Also to mention is the Men of York Speak Drive in November was a great success. Neighbor Awareness welcomed new members and notes to those needing encouragement. Low vision gatherings offered social times for those with vision issues and welcome reading of the York Times. The newsletter and the bulletin board made sure we were inspired and informed where to be and why we should be there. And every month, the York Times offered us interesting articles. And the Floral Committee and the York Room did their part to make our building look welcoming, with fresh flowers in the lobby and seasonal decor in the York Room. So thank you to all the RAC volunteers, and especially to our Vice Chair, Mary Lou Jackson. And finally, RAC could not have done all that we did without the professional help of our staff liaison, Kara Crow. Her encouragement, organizational, and graphic skills were and are invaluable. So thank you to Kara.
I want to think, just reflect on doing George's report and Michelle's report, taking care of the building, all the ancillary stuff, finances, and whatever happens, but then the life of this building. And that committee, just think about all the things that Michelle has listed for all the volunteers to make happen. That's what makes this place a good place, a good place. So thanks all of you who put your effort to make this place for all of us to be a part of. Let's move on. Chair of the Furnish Committee, Jane Ramsey. Jane.
Hello, everybody. The Furnishings Committee is responsible for monitoring all of the common areas, including the main lobby, balcony, garage, lobbies, guest rooms, lounges, elevators, and for requesting work orders for repairs and housekeeping. taking care of the above duties has been the bulk of what we have done in the last year. And with the approval of the board, we initiated a trial to display artwork of our residents on the 5th floor west hallway. There were some issues, and there has been a new committee created to figure out the best way to enhance our common areas with art. And I think it's a wonderful thing. So we feel that we at least participate in furthering that. And then, of course, we all the Christmas decorations, decorate the trees, putting up the wreaths, and that's it.
Very good. Day-to-day stuff of making the place beautiful for the holidays, just another touch of what people do. Our next presenter is the chair of the Archives Committee, Doug Palmer.
This is why the old study, the keep it simple, we have fun. The Archives Committee has basically one goal, and that's to collect, organize, and archive the history of this place. This last year, we had a chance to join with the 5-year historians, and they become a part of the Archives Committee. We've also revised the picture book that's on the lobby, which was very popular with everybody. And also we've been thinking about the 50th anniversary that's coming up in a couple of years. The Archives Committee is starting to put together just ideas and resources because in that 50th anniversary, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of interest on how the building came about, the people that made this building, what it is, and just the history of this building. So I guess I want to end with simply a commercial, and that is save our history, join the Archives Committee.
You told me I was going to have to get the hook, these are for law, Resident Services Health and Wellness Chair Carolyn Houlihan. Carolyn, come and bring a report from your good folks and all the things you guys are doing.
Just keep reminding me to get this microphone and time up.
Yep, keep it right by your mouth.
Okay, well, welcome to all of you here. And as we reach the end of our meeting here, I just want to point out all these wonderful activities that we have going on here is due to health and wellness keeping me going. And our goals are provide aging and independent living issues to educational programs, as well as programs and resources and services. We keep our ears open for issues we hear and see in the community. To this within Resident Services Coordinator. We are pleased with the ongoing success of several larger programs in the community. The popular vendor resource fair in June brings a variety of vendors to us with information and access to their services. And they also provide treats to encourage you. After Kathy Hall's retirement, the vaccine flu clinic held in the fall was organized by Kara Cole, Director of Resident Activities and Services, and Jay Watson. They really were wonderful in stepping up and getting that committee underway because we really need that food clinic here. It's such a value for people that struggle to get to a place to have their vaccines done, and it keeps us and themselves healthy. And then we do also a monthly blood pressure clinic. And our support groups have been a welcome vehicle for a safe place to share challenging situations and learn from one another. We have the caregiving support group and the digestive disorder support group. and there will be some changes with that in the next year. And the presentations that we've offered, we had that Brain Health series, 4 series, that was so well attended. And we had an advanced care planning, understanding post and Minnesota Healthcare Directive. Again, really well attended and really very valuable. And our recent financial security on scams presented by the State of Minnesota Assistant Special Agent in Charge, who really did a great job. He's been here before. And this is really an exciting new thing we're starting on, that Andy really was excited about. And I think it's gonna be great, because she's doing a holistic series. So it kind of puts a challenge for us to learn some of these holistic techniques. And the first one was that sound bath thing. And we're just so excited about the number of you that came to that. And some of you have already experienced and are very familiar with that sound bath technique and visited this woman in our home who has incredible skills. So there will be more coming up with that theme. And I really think just the fact that that one was so successful, I think will lead you to go to the further ones that are coming up. And then getting the most out of your doctor visit, also a really valuable one for people to really make use of that visit with their doctor, to be prepared and to choose a doctor or primary that is really, really going to meet your needs. I would like to also add that somehow in my final report, I'd like to acknowledge Will Wilson, who was somehow missing here. And Will, I think most of you know, is really a passionate advocate for good physical healthness and function. And he did presentation, he helped with the digestive committee, health, that group, and also with the functional fitness testing, which a number of you went to, and then came back after a period of time, as I understand it, to see how you had progressed. So Will has been a valuable member of this committee, and it's really good to see we have someone on our committee who was here and will be here on that committee next year to fulfill this passion of his, which I am hoping really has some effects to you in your life. There were many changes for our committee this year. I want to quickly tell you that it has been a challenge for us to learn a new technique for learning to set up presentations, to learn about the interesting gray sheet, which we had never had before. And Tara, I asked Tara to present that to our group on how to do it. And I want to tell you, I've encouraged our team as much as possible to really take on that challenge. And they've been absolutely wonderful. And thank you to all of you that have been on the committee and have really done a sterling job. We're grateful to the skills of Andy, who has had a long, really a learning process becoming part of this. She's been a good aid to our committee and those giving presentations. And Kara also has been a really great help. And we thank, of course, Kathy Hall for all her years of service. And I really want to. Kathy Lewis, it's been great having you as a liaison. And Muriel who has taken on being a secretary this year, which is really a job, as all of you secretaries know. And so that comes the end of my report.
I am going off the committee. We have 3 new people who will be joining our committee, and they will be selecting a chairman, a co-chair, or whatever at the next meeting, which I will not be attending. So thanks to you all who have come to our presentations so beautiful. And you have really supported us. And we want you to be sure to tell members of our committee, Annie, Carol, of other things you think we have missed. So thank you.
On the list of standing committees this year is a new name of committee, the Giving Committee, because it carries functions from the past and also will provide us with great gifts in the future. Gene Hammond is the chair of that committee. Gene, I'm going to have to turn the mic over to you for your report.
Okay, thank you. Well, as many of you know, the Giving Committee is brand new. It was officially became a functioning committee as of the 1st of January this year. It is the combination of the Legacy Committee and the Residence Committee. And that all had a beginning back in the spring last year when we had a speaker come and speak to us from Ebenezer, from Brendan Brannigan, and he introduced us to the Ebenezer Foundation. And as a result of that, his presentation, he talked about the benefit of the foundation would be that gifts to 7,500 could be tax deductible. And so we then formed some committees, committee that dealt with it. It was made up of the board and resident committee and the legacy committee. And as a result of that, we went through the spring and into the fall, and it was decided that they would merge the resident and the legacy committee into one committee. And the functions then would continue for the legacy committee and the resident committee, but we would have a new option of giving a tax deductible gift through the Ebenezer Foundation. So our committee, I'm excited about the members of the committee. First of all, I want to acknowledge Barb Parent, who was the chairperson of the resident committee, who did a wonderful job. It was kind of interesting. I really got to know Barb as we went through the process during the summer months anyway. And Barb said she became chairperson of the resident committee after attending probably 3 or 4 meetings. And I said, well, that's the same story for me. After 3 or 4 meetings with the legacy committee, I became the chairman of that. So when they decided to form a new committee, Barb and I looked at each other and we said, well, I don't know if we want to be just chairman, but we agreed to be co-chairman, which I thought was a wonderful idea. And then at the second meeting this in February, Barb announced that she was resigning. And so here I am, the chairman of the Giving Committee. And so our committee primarily has been working on the fact that we had to put together the charter and we needed to put together the procedures. One of the things that had kind of bedeviled us anyway was sometimes we would lose track of checks that came in either to the resident or legacy and tracking them down. And so one of the things that we did, we put a box out outside the office there, and so there's a Giving Committee box. And so when gifts are made, those gifts go in that box. And then our committee is the one, 2 people from our committee, once a week, open that box up and get the gifts out. And so we make a record of it, we write the thank you notes, and then we run through the process of going through the office to get rid of the checks anyway and get them deposited for both resident and legacy committee. And then we also send these checks that are for the Ebenezer Foundation to them. So that's been kind of our work. We're putting together a pamphlet and working on that. It's a current project that would replace the legacy pamphlet and give the people information on why to give, how to give, in the process anyway. And so I'm excited, the committee, just to let you know the people that are on the committee anyway. Kathy Hauscho is the treasurer of our committee. The secretary is absolutely an incredible person. You know, Carol Hagery. I mean, she does a wonderful job with the notes anyway. there's Dorothy Milbrand, Mark Roloff, Mike Mullinex, and the newest one replacing Barb is Kathy Herbert, that's on the committee. So I thank you for listening, and I'm grateful for all of you that make the donations to the committee. One of the added benefits of really having the tax deductible gift is that if you want to give gifts out of your IRA, it becomes part of the charitable gift giving. And so as most of us have, we have a distribution that we have to make yearly, and so you can do that through that. And so at the current time, I think we have like 66,000 in the legacy committee coming up part of it, which can be used for capital funds, and that decision on that is made by the board. The board decides where it's going to be spent. I understand there's a possibility right now that they're looking at spending 60,000 of that for a project in the building that haven't been funded. And so the residents committee has $20,000 in it, and that we're looking for the committee chairman. If you have needs, to let us know. So thank you for your patience.
Gene's committed and Barb that's worked so hard at putting that piece together. I think that they're going to offer us an opportunity to do all kinds of good things when we see the needs out there in front of us for the betterment of our community. Last but not least, the chair of the nominating committee, Gene Walter. Gene, you're wrapping up what I said. Electing the board is the most important thing the members do every year. So come on and let us know what you're up to. Put it right up there, Mom.
Well, welcome to all, and today is the final day of what we worked on for the beginning of the year. And it was made it interesting because we ended up with 3 nominees and 3 positions. And so Dave Price, Brianne Lee, and Roger Olson was our special selected group, and people would come up to me and say, well, why aren't we going to be, why bother vote when there's 3 people and 3 positions? Well, we need a quorum. And so that's one of the things that we worked on very hard, is getting people to get out and vote, even if they felt that it wasn't necessary. So our nominating committee is made up of 9 members representing each floor, and the cooperative established that election process beginning in January with our first meeting and ends in May. The first letter that we sent out is the nomination form that's sent to all committee members. And we're all asked to submit names of people that we felt would be good board members. Then in February, the nominees are asked to respond. What was interesting is we had 12 candidates, and however, only 4 people responded. And that is the important message that I want to share today, is when you ask someone to be a candidate, make sure that they really are interested. Don't just put the paper in their mailbox and assume that they're going to respond. So, but with all good things, we have our forum and our election process is going forward as planned. So this afternoon, or after this meeting, the ballots will be counted, and we will have the final process completed. So I want to thank all the candidates: Dave Price, Brianne Lee, Roger Olson, Roger Johnson. I'm sorry.
Same thing.
These Scandinavians keep it.
I have also to the family.
So And, for being willing to serve on board, it's a big commitment, and thank you for that. I want to thank all of the people that were on the nominating committee, who worked hard to complete our process. A special thank you to Ken before. He was such an excellent resource when we were trying to make selections and decisions and let us know what the board really does. Hannah, for your help in getting all the paperwork and communication completed. And Mitch, for supporting our committee in all aspects that were necessary. So, thank you for a good year, and next year, Lila Burkeen has accepted the position of being chair.
The board charged Carol Hagery, who served as our election chief judge for the last few years, to do the organizational work behind the team to count the ballots. But that team needs to be brought here for official authorization. So is there a motion to appoint Carol Hagery the chief judge, Mary Friedman the assistant judge, Jean Heyman, Dorothy Milbrand, Marty Raggett, Bev Reed, and Jerry Thompson as official members of the county team? There's a motion by Doug. Is there a second? There's a second over here by Nan. All in favor, say aye. Aye. As opposed, same sign. Now, this will not be, you don't have to stand and look by the elevator and on 990. This is not a, what am I thinking? Dramatic election. But I tell you, it's terribly important. Gene really pointed out, people said, well, why should we? Oh, we don't need it. Well, yes, we do. This is how, number one, how we do the quorum every year. But more importantly, these are the folks that you have that are willing to stand for and serve on your behalf for this community. So I just thank everybody who's in this process. The results will be announced at 4 o'clock today on the York TV and YouTube, and posted on the bulletin boards and in the elevators. That's the last of our business for this annual meeting. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved. Over here. Who moved that? Oh, wait a minute, you moved it. There's a second right here. All right. All in favor of adjournment, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Thanks, everybody. Meeting's adjourned.
Well. The first time I've ever seen you.
They also,
I'm serious. All of our
Michelle is the chair.
Good job.
Alright. Yeah, it is more, yes, it does. Thank you. Hi there, how are you? Good ideas, ages. That's all I wanted to know. Nice job, Hannah. Thank you. Nice job, Secretary.
Sorry, I stepped on your line. I was looking at the dump.
Pretty much. Thank you. Yeah. That's racing. I'm not sure what else. Yes. My schedule Hi, good to see you. Yeah.
So my first closing will be.
Really? All on your own?
Well, I mean,
Or just, she's gonna coach you?
Yeah.
Are you excited that I'm doing? Yeah, excellent.
Doug had it right. He did his. Doug nailed it right on.
He's so many this year.
You did well. You did it.
I'm here long enough to remember meetings.
Yeah.
Pastor, it was so long.
That's good.
I was doing a lot of nutrition.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes.
I love that.
It was the kind of thing where they're like,
There's just always different excuses you can have, right?
you already couldn't do this for you this week because you had hemorrhoids. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Doug got this.
And so that sounds like they run that place unbelievable. Pastor has.
Yeah, we'll see you probably.
Exactly, so the whole parking lot depends on the schedule.
Yes. You need that? I can always use another binder. You need the binder? I will get copies of the last 3 reports. We'll put them on put this one on the board, like President's report.
Oh, okay.
Because I know she'll be after it. Marilyn, she's back there. And so it'll go up on the board. And the dates will go in the packet. So I'll get that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's fun. Yeah.
Anyway, 122 years. I understand. It must have been a. My son happened to do
But then she's made the false claim. She said she's very brought in everybody. She's not brought in. Okay. Minus one. Their problem.
Nice job, by the way. Nice job. Don't throw away your notes. Somebody's gonna want
Well, that's up to the new president, so.
They're taking a great lay. We needed to change some things. Not a committee that plans programs.
In fact, what you don't understand is we constantly are thinking through all the communities. What needs to, we should have. What do these candidates?
I'll just go through here. I'm talking to the mayor on Thursday. And I said, hey, we're doing our 50th, couple years, would the city be interested in, participating? And right about 50th, so I'd be happy to come do, a proclamation. Well, then I talked to Jennifer Benner about this, education specific. And they said, basically, both of them said, France is celebrating their 50th. And it sounds like, they're just doing sort of perfunctory stuff. So I think, they did at minimum, a proclamation.
It worked. We were live streaming. We were? The whole time.
And then we can go back and ask something.
Anybody, like, how did people get the link? I didn't get it onto the website.